I'm going to do a quick rundown of all the most important changes of 7.15. To start things off, we'll look at bounty runes. They now spawn once every 5 minutes rather than every 2 minutes. This means that heroes like offlaners and supports, which would commonly be really good at getting these bounty runes and timing from, like Bounty Hunter, you would have a Weaver offlane who would come and like run over, get the runes really quickly. As various heroes who have this kind of like mobility, and even invisible heroes like, again, Riki and Bounty Hunter are going to be hit a little bit hard from it, and your playstyle is going to have to change. Not only this, but bounty runes now fill bottles to a full charge, and any support hero or offlane hero which was buying bottle, it's probably not very valuable to get it anymore. But the bottle has been buffed and it gives you extra mana and health regen per rune, or sorry, per charge. And the thing is that power runes are going to be a lot more valuable now, and having an observer ward on the power rune and having a mid lane hero who can pick up these power runes would be relatively important, because there's less runes on the map, but it's more so heroes like Queen of Pain who are very good at picking up runes because of her obviously mobility from Blink that will benefit from this. You also have this common rotation that you would see supports doing, which is at say 1 minute 53, you would stack the small camp, you would go to the enemy bounty rune, pick that up, come back, take your own bounty rune, and you would be back just in time to pull the creeps and you would pull the lane. Essentially, that was a really good rotation. Now this rotation is always going to happen at 5 minutes, and as an offlaner it's really important to contest it, because the thing is the siege creep also spawns at 5 minutes, meaning that the pull, like stacking and pulling at 5 minutes and 14 seconds, having that pull is really important. So as an offlaner, I would highly recommend you try and do some sort of contesting for that sort of rotation. And as well as an offlaner, the common thing was every 2 minutes you would know that the supports might disappear from the lane and go for the bounty runes, so you could play a little bit more aggressive or even just get in range of experience. This kind of window of opportunity is now gone because of the fact that runes are spawning every 5 minutes. The next really big change is tower denies now remove all gold instead of just giving half of the gold to the enemy team. This is pretty big, and it means that TPing to a tower to deny it is way more important than it used to be, and this kind of movement and understanding, like when your towers are getting low, it will just generally benefit you. Towers don't give as much gold as they used to, but it also means that a lot of the time you would see these like strategies where people would say put down Shadow Shaman's wards, they would let the tower go into deny range and just leave the tower. At that scenario, you should be trying to get the opportunity to glyph, destroy the mass serpent wards, and then deny the tower. And various other heroes who are just kind of pushing towers in with creeps like Tinker or Nature's Prophet, being there to just get the tower denies is relatively a little bit more important than it used to be. The next big change is with Roshan. So in previous patches, tower gold has been nerfed. It's much lower than it used to be, so it means that objectives like Roshan have become more valuable. So in the mid game, a lot of the time when a tier 2 is available to push down after a team fight, you will a lot of the time go for Roshan instead, just because it's a better objective to get at the moment. However, the thing is Roshan has been buffed in the early game. The main difference is the fact that his health is 500 more, and that's his base health, and also his base damage has been increased by 10. Now this doesn't really seem like much, but the health increase basically means that you're going to have to spend a little bit more time in Roshan, and a lot of these heroes like Husker and sometimes a Visage with Solar Crest will be taking Roshan early on after a team fight, or sometimes even sneaking the Roshan. It means that they're spending more time in Rosh, so it gives you a little bit more time to react as a whole. So it's a minor nerf to people who are trying to take these early Roshans around say 10 to 15 minute bracket, but as well as a whole, it's making Roshan a small little bit stronger. It's not a major deal when it comes to the mid or late game. The next two changes are mostly directed towards support players. So observer wards have a 15-second cooldown less in the shop. They used to be 150 seconds, now they're 135, meaning that there's just going to be more vision on the map, and it is important to understand that even as a core player. The other thing is that the gold for observer wards is now 5 gold cheaper. It won't really make much difference to the economy, to the game as a whole, but it's more so going to mean that you've 10 extra gold for your starting items, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility on what you choose to buy with your starting item. The second change, which is again directed towards support players, is neutral camp stack bounties are increased from 20% to 25%. This is basically a buff to players who are very good at stacking multiple camps at once, or just even playing the stacking strategy in general. There's also been a nerf to lane creeps, so they give a little bit less gold, but essentially it's overall this is as well a buff to core players who are playing stuff like Luna and Sven, who can clear multiple camps at once, and there's various other heroes as well that can clear camps that not necessarily as a carry hero. The next change is the ground courier bounty has been reduced from 175 to 125. This is more of a disincentive for heroes like Riki and Bounty Hunter, who sit middle looking for a kill on the courier in the first 2 to 3 minutes, and it's probably giving them more incentive to stick to the lanes and do stuff. And as well as the change to the bounty runes, it's wanting players, there'll probably be a little bit slower pace of the game and a little bit less staticness. If you are rotating, it'll probably be best to use a smoke, just for the fact that you can move to a lane quicker and move back. However, the next change that's also changing the earlier parts of the game, which a lot of people don't really highlight over, is the range creep now always spawns behind the melee creeps. Why is this important? Well, the fact is that if you manage to block your creeps and get the range creep in front and meet the lane first, no one can do anything about that, only you, because the first lane of creeps can't be aggroed by like the enemy, and having your range creep die first in lane means that the lane will push into you. It makes it much easier for the offlaner, and why it pushes the creep wave is because the range creep does more damage than the melee creeps and has less health, I think, or less armor. It dies quicker essentially as well. This type of block is now harder as of this patch because of this one small little change. Now, there's been a couple of minor changes, but ones that I want to highlight are agility heroes' base strength has been increased by 1, which basically means that any agi hero has an extra 20 health starting off. The other change is that intelligence heroes have a base intelligence reduced by 2. This doesn't really seem like much, but it means that there's heroes that are going to have smaller mana pools, and a hero like Crystal Maiden, who really struggles to get her spells off, especially if she uses Frostbite on level 1, she may not have enough mana to use a second Frostbite. Apparently as well, she has a lower int at the start of the game than PA, which was I think the lowest int of any hero in the game. As you can see from 7.15, a lot of the changes have been focusing on the early game. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I would recommend you subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to see more mechanics videos to do with Dota.